You think you have a tire problem? You don't. You have a direction problem. That is the first line I would put on the wall of any alignment shop in America, because people come in angry at the rubber. They point at the bald outer edge. They point at the inside shoulder gone smooth while the rest of the tread still looks healthy. They point at the sawtooth pattern when they run a hand across the tire, and they say the tire was bad, or the brand was bad, or the road was bad, or the weather was bad. But most of the time, the tire was just obeying bad instructions. That is what uneven wear really is. A tire is not wearing out randomly. It is reporting what the car is telling it to do every second it rolls. And the one adjustment that changes that story faster than almost anything else is not some miracle product, not nitrogen, not a fancy tread compound, not a balancing bead, and not a tire dressing. It is toe, tiny angle, massive consequence. A wheel pointed even slightly the wrong way does not just roll, it scrubs, it drags, it erases rubber one rotation at a time. And the maddening part is how small the error can be. A car can feel mostly normal. The steering wheel can be only a little crooked. The pull can be mild. The owner can barely notice anything at all. And meanwhile, the front tires are being shaved down every mile like someone is touching them with sandpaper. That is the story nobody believes until they see the alignment printout. Because the car still drives, it still brakes, it still starts every morning. So the driver assumes all is well, but tires do not care about assumptions. They care about angle. NHTSA says wheel alignment is important to maximize tire life and keep the vehicle from veering left or right on a straight road, and it recommends regular tire pressure checks, tread inspections, rotation, and alignment attention as part of normal tire care. Now let's slow this down and do it like a real diagnosis. Not a sales pitch, not a secret trick, a diagnosis. A car rolls into the bay, front left tire worn on the inside edge, front right worn in a feathered pattern. Rear tires look better but not perfect. Steering wheel is a little off-center. Owner says, "I just bought these tires 8 months ago." That sentence should immediately split into two questions. First, what angle is wrong? Second, what caused it to go wrong? Because if you answer only the first question, you may save the next tire. If you answer both, you may save the next 3 sets. Michelin explains that alignment affects how tires interact with the road and how the vehicle behaves during straight driving, cornering, and braking. It also notes that misalignment can significantly reduce tire life, with common signs including pulling, an off-center steering wheel, and rapid or uneven tread wear on the inside or outside edges. Most drivers have heard the word alignment. Almost none of them have been taught how to think about it. They hear camber, caster, toe, and their brain leaves the room. So let's make this plain. Camber is the lean of the wheel. Toe is the direction the wheel points relative to the center line of the car. Caster affects stability and steering feel more than tread wear directly. If camber is wrong, you often see one shoulder wear more than the other. If toe is wrong, the tire can get dragged across the road surface in a way that creates feathering, scrubbing, and accelerated wear across the tread. That is why toe is so vicious. It is not just load, it is sideways violence, even when the car is going straight. Tire Rack notes that too much positive camber tends to wear the outside edges, too much negative camber tends to wear the inside edges, and that toe is very important to tire wear. Most of these videos start with fear. I want to start with pattern recognition, because once you know the pattern, you stop getting fooled. Center of the tread wearing faster than the shoulders? Start by checking inflation. That often points to overinflation. Both shoulders wearing faster than the center? Start by checking for underinflation. One edge worn more than the other? Now your mind should move toward alignment geometry, suspension condition, or both. Feathering when you slide your palm over the tread? Now you should be thinking about toe scrub. Discount Tires Tire Wear Guide associates center wear with overinflation and points drivers toward inflation or alignment issues when uneven wear shows up. But there is another layer that matters even more. People think alignment drifts because cars are fragile. That is not really true. Alignment usually changes because something happened. A curb, a pothole, a worn tie rod end, a tired bushing, a sagging spring, a bent component. A big hit you barely remember because the car seemed fine afterward. Continental says the single biggest reason for one-sided tire wear is axle geometry, and that deviations can develop over time from things like aggressively mounting a curb. That sentence should be stamped onto every invoice that includes new tires, because this is where people waste money. They buy 4 fresh tires. The shop mounts and balances them. Maybe the pressure gets checked, maybe it doesn't, maybe the alignment is recommended, maybe the customer declines because the car drives okay. And then 12,000 miles later, they are back, furious, convinced the tire brand is garbage. No, The new tires were simply fed into the same geometry that killed the last set. New rubber does not cure old angles. That is the entire scam behind a lot of repeat tire sales. Not malice, always. Sometimes just laziness, sometimes habit, sometimes the customer refusing the extra service. But the result is the same. Rubber dies because the machine underneath it was never corrected. Firestone says poor alignment is a common cause of uneven tire wear and lists vehicle pull, crooked steering wheel, and rapid or uneven tire wear as classic signs that an alignment check is needed. It also says regular checks around every 6,000 miles are a sensible rule of thumb, especially after potholes, rough roads, or curb strikes. Set the toe correctly, not approximately, not close enough, not, it's an old car anyway, correctly. Because toe is the one alignment angle that can take a tire from living a long, quiet life to being erased in broad daylight. Picture two shoes. If both point straight ahead, they walk clean. If they point slightly inward or outward, they still move forward, but each step drags sideways a little. That dragging is what your tire feels, except your tire feels it hundreds of times per minute. So yes, the adjustment is tiny, but the result is cumulative. A small toe error multiplied by thousands of revolutions becomes money. That is why the fix feels so dramatic when it is finally done. Not because the car suddenly became magical, because the tires stopped being asked to fight the road all day. And I want to be very careful here. The title says this adjustment stops tire wear completely. In the real world, nothing stops tire wear completely. Rubber is a consumable. You are not defeating physics. You are removing unnecessary wear. That is the difference between fantasy and maintenance. A properly set alignment does not make tires immortal. It simply gives them a fair life. That is a much better promise, and it is true. Now let me show you how to catch this before the damage gets expensive. First, stand in front of the car and look at the steering wheel when driving straight on a level road. If the wheel is off center, pay attention. That alone does not prove a toe problem, but it often accompanies one. Second, run your hand gently across the tread blocks. One direction smooth, the other direction sharp. That feathering can be a giant clue. Third, compare the inside and outside shoulders. If one edge is disappearing much faster, stop blaming the tire and start thinking geometry. Fourth, notice whether the car drifts left or right with correct tire pressure on a flat road. Fifth, ask yourself the most honest question in car ownership. When was the last hard pothole hit I pretended did not matter? Because that memory is often sitting right next to your answer. NHTSA recommends checking tire pressure at least monthly when tires are cold, checking tread monthly, and rotating tires every 5,000 to 8,000 miles or sooner if uneven wear appears. That matters because misalignment, pressure, and rotation all interact, and you need all three under control if you want wear to stay even. This is also where I have to say something mechanics actually do mention, but not loudly enough. Alignment is not the whole story. If a suspension part is loose, an alignment can be set on the rack and wander back out on the road. If a bushing is torn, the numbers can look good static and go bad dynamically. If tire pressure is wrong, the wear pattern can imitate other problems. If rotation never happens, even a well-aligned car can show ugly patterns. If a rear axle angle is off on a vehicle that requires four-wheel alignment, correcting only the front can leave the car still crab-walking down the road. So the smarter phrase is not get an alignment. It is correct the geometry and the cause. That is adult maintenance. And this is where the cheap shortcuts die. Because there is no spray for this, no liquid, no additive, no secret old farmer trick, no magnetic clamp, no miracle balancing powder. This is geometry. It lives in measurements. It gets fixed with tools. And the reason people avoid it is simple. You cannot fake it. You either have the numbers in spec or you do not. That honesty is refreshing. Now let's talk about why this feels like something mechanics never mention. Because the average driver hears about tires and fragments, rotation, every oil change, check pressure when the light comes on, buy a warranty, replace when bald. That is the consumer version. The mechanical version is different. The mechanical version says tires are sensors. They are the first visible record of steering and suspension truth. If the tread is talking, listen before you buy more tread. That is the mental switch. And once you make that switch, tire wear becomes much less mysterious. Inner edge gone, don't just ask what tire to buy. Ask what angle is wrong. Both fronts feathered. Don't ask what brand lasts longer. Ask what toe is doing. One tire keeps dying faster than the others. Don't ask for another discount. Ask what bent, loosened, sagged, or shifted. That is how you stop playing defense. That is how you stop buying the same lesson twice. If you see uneven tire wear, do 5 things in order. Check cold tire pressures against the door jamb spec, inspect tread across the full width, and compare inner, center, and outer sections. Rotate if the pattern and vehicle schedule call for it. Get a full alignment check, not a guess. And if alignment will not hold, inspect suspension and steering parts before you celebrate. That order matters because it keeps you from paying for tires when you really needed correction. And it keeps you from paying for correction when you really just had a one tire 8 psi low for 2 months. The beauty of the one simple adjustment is not that it is magical, it is that it is measurable. When toe is wrong, the tire pays. When toe is corrected, the punishment stops. Everything after that is maintenance discipline. It is promising something better. Clarity. You do not need mystical knowledge to stop chewing through tires. You need to stop letting a misaimed wheel scrub them to death. That is the whole story. Small angle, big bill, simple fix. And if you remember only one line from this entire video, make it this. Tires do not wear unevenly by accident. They wear unevenly by instruction. Change the instruction, and the tire's life changes with it. That is why one tiny adjustment can feel like a revelation. Not because it defeats wear completely, because it stops the stupid wear. And stupid wear is the most expensive kind.